Hello Diamond Painting Addicts, and welcome back to Diamond Painting Anonymous. Today is going to be another WIP and chat. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome back. WIP stands for Work in Progress. I'm going to be working on this today, and you are welcome to go grab whatever project you are working on and work as I chat. Or you can just treat this like a podcast or an audiobook and listen while you're walking, whatever. So I'm just going to jump in. I am working today on my Staroar winter tree, and I will stick a picture of the artwork over there. This is a canvas that I've been looking forward to because I love this stained glass art style. And so I'm really excited to get started with it. And this is going to be kind of a catch-all canvas for me in a lot of ways. One, this is a new to me company, so I'm trying this company for the first time. I also purchased their storage system. So this will be my first time using their storage system. And I will put links in the description below to the canvas and the drills. And then I'm also still currently testing we have a handle on this multi-placers. So I have discovered that because of the way they're constructed with the barrels right next to each other, that they're not great with round drills, but they do seem to be working really well for me for square drills. And I've got the whole set. I've got the single placer, which I'm not testing because it's single placer, the 2, 3, 4, 6, and 8. And I have done some testing on some other canvases, which is how I discovered they're maybe not that great for rounds. But I wanted to try them with this. So let's just jump in, shall we? I think I've got everything set up. Let me start my timer because I always forget to do that. And then I'm going to zoom you guys in so you can see what I'm working on. And sorry, I bumped the camera there. Okay, let me see. Get this kind of in the middle of the frame. And I might move this over just so I'm working on a little bit bigger section. There we go. Okay. Okay, I think that's good. So I've got a tray, I've got my drills, I've got a drink, I've got a pen. I hope I've got everything I need. Okay, so we're going to start out with the V's here since that's the first one in the corner. And I'm just going to start working. Again, you guys, I did not make myself a list of what I wanted to talk about. And I always just take one of the drills at the end, one of the containers at the end, and I end up using that as my trash container. So, because, I always want to look at my drills before I start placing, see if I've got any weird ones. My last square kit that I did, I had quite a few like little tabs on some of the drills, and I didn't notice until it was an issue and I had to go back and replace a whole bunch of them, and that was not fun. So, but I try to be extra careful with how I place my first rows of drills here. So I want these to be really, where they go and in place, because I'm going to basically be building off of them. So, and I have to say, I do love how this multi-placer works. This is the most success I've ever had with a multi-placer above a 6. So for that reason alone, I'm kind of liking it. And there you can see I got 8 and 9, and I got all of those placed pretty darn well and pretty quickly. So that's one of the reasons I like this multi-placer. Again, I'm trying to be really careful when I place them because I want them to be exactly where they should be. Because if you do that with your first rounds of drills, then it just, if you make a mistake and you kind of get out of alignment as you go, it just gets even worse. So trying to be really careful here as I place them. So I'm hoping things are settling down here. I have finally finished migrating everything over on my computer. I have made some progress on various diamond painting projects that seemed like they were taking forever, that I'm either really close to finishing or they are finished. So I feel like I've accomplished some pretty big goals this week. And yeah, not looking forward to how everything goes this coming week. I have my MRI scheduled, which I don't know what to think, you guys. Honestly, I was out walking with my son. My knee popped. I felt like I'd done something really horribly wrong to it. And just in this last week, oh, I had that one stuck and I didn't even realize it. Just this last week, in going to PT and kind of, babying it, I feel like everything is much, much better. So I don't know. I don't know what the MRI is going to show. Hoping that it just shows maybe with some more babying and kind of letting it heal, that I will be back to where I was without any surgery, because I really don't want to have surgery. Just don't. So let's see, that's 6. So I'm going to pick up 6 of these. I'm going to try and pick up 6 of these. There we go. And place those right there. And like I said, I do spend some time kind of going back and making sure these are exactly where I want to be. I have to say, so far these drills seem really nice. I'm impressed. Oh, it looks like a round one snuck in here. There's a round one right there. That one snuck in, so that's going to go in my trash because I don't need a round drill in here. But so far so good with the square ones, I have to say. So again, just trying to make sure that I'm pushing them where they need to be so that everybody is lined up and looks good, so that as I go, everything stays in a line. Now, as I work, mine will likely get out of alignment, especially when you're doing like these where you're just kind of having to place them. I know there are some people who said they kind of work like a typewriter or a printer where they just go line by line, and that probably makes your lines of drills look really, really good. But I feel like the trade-off for that is that you spend all of your time opening and closing drills, which would make me a little bit bananas. So, but everybody needs to do what makes them happy. If it makes you happy to do it like a printer, then do it like a printer. And don't let anybody tell you it's wrong, because it's not. However makes you happy is how you should do it. So, yeah, I gotta say, compared to some other squares I've done, these are pretty good so far. And I will say, somebody also had questions about how well these 3D printed multiplacers would hold up. And there I go dropping things. So far, they seem to be holding up well, I must say. I consider myself a pretty heavy placer, and they've survived one whole kit so far. So we'll see how long they last otherwise, but so let's see what to talk about, you guys. I don't want to just talk about my health issues. I'm sure you're tired of hearing about those. What can I talk about? Work is going fine, although I don't know if it's because a lot of these kids didn't go to preschool last year, because of course with the pandemic and everything, a lot of people just elected to keep their littles at home, and I don't blame them. If I had small children that age, I probably would have done the same. But I mean, these are the same age kids that we would have gotten. I teach the 3s, 3-year-olds, and so Threes generally have not gone to preschool. I mean, that's almost always their first foray into preschool. So, we're used to them not understanding how to stand in a line or, having to instruct them multiple times on transitioning from one thing to another, or, just a lot of those things that we kind of take for granted because we as adults learned how to do them so long ago. That can be really hard for kids. And there's another round one that just snuck in there. So that goes in the trash. But some kids just have a really hard time with it. But, usually by this time of the year, the kids have kind of settled into a routine and a rhythm. And this year, for whatever reason, it just doesn't feel that way. Like some weeks, it feels like they're brand new kids who just walked in the door, which is crazy because, they've been coming to preschool since the end of August. So they're not new. The rules are not new. And yet, some days it's like, okay, you're not allowed to do that, or that, this is how we do things. Like yesterday, or earlier in the week, I had several of the kids asking me when we were going to have snack. It's like, we always have snack after music. Always. That's always how we do it. So, and then, oh, what, and then they acted surprised. And it's like, So it's, honestly, it's like, did they really forget, or they just yanking your chain some days? I mean, they're 3, so they don't really understand the concept of yanking your chain. So that doesn't seem, like it would be true either, but I don't know. It just seems odd sometimes. And I did not align those very good when I tried to pick them up. Let me shake these. This tray is a little bit bigger than I would normally use, but it was what I had in here, so it's what I picked up. Because I try to come in here prepared, and then of course I get in here and I'm like, oh, there's quite a few of these round ones that snuck in here. Don't know what they're doing. That one, does that one seem too big, or does that other one seem too small? Nope, that one seemed too big. Okay. Let me pick 7 and put them here. That one got a little crooked. Move these over just a smidge. It may seem kind of crazy to spend that much time kind of adjusting them, but like I said, if you spend a little bit of time doing that when you first start, then you spend a lot less time doing it later. So, like I said, I'm trying to be very particular about my placement so that it all looks good and will all be, lined up as I start adding in additional colors. Okay, so I think that is all in this section for the V's. So let me dump those back in. Okay, now I'm going to try and fill in, as I go here in a way that makes sense. So the next one over is F. I don't have very many of those, so I'm just going to go ahead and do those. And actually, it looks like I don't have very many of those in the entire canvas, so I'm just going to dump a few of them out here and carefully place them. So I thought about using my rulers for this, but sometimes I feel like using the rulers is more frustrating than it's worth, just because it does help you place the drills straighter, but I feel like I spend more time trying to get things kind of lined up, and that felt really nice kind of sliding in there, not like I was shoving things out of the way, but like it was just fitting in there nicely. So I like that. And then I've seen all those horror stories with people on the rulers where you spend all that time placing drills and then you go to pull your ruler up and it pulls all the drills off, which would just make me cry, frankly. So I'm trying to get back on my productivity train. I felt like for a while there, I was doing really good and being productive in kind of all aspects. You know, I was being productive at work, I was being productive at home, I was being productive with the channel. And then I think a lot of it is that I just hit kind of a wall because, okay, I'm going to do H next, and I actually have 2 of these, so I'm going to pull from this one first. I hit kind of a wall because of the whole issue with my knee, and so it just kind of set me back everywhere, which is not what I want. So I'm trying to get back on into the groove, as they say. Yeah, these are fitting in there really nicely. I have to say, so far, pretty impressed with these drills. Okay, got them to kind of sprinkle here, there, and everywhere. So I have done a couple of things business-wise that I hope will help out the channel. I have done some things at work that I hope will make it easier for the people at work, both now while I'm there and after I leave, because we have finally started, well, I have finally started on our paperwork to move to Canada. And that is a whole process, let me tell you. There are, of course, multiple government forms to be filled out, all kinds of documentation that I have to provide. Some of it seems kind of crazy. I mean, I get where they're coming from, but it just seems crazy to me. Like, I have to, well, one of the questions on there, for instance, because, you know, they're also trying to make sure that you didn't just marry someone to get in the country. And my husband and I just had our 9th wedding anniversary, so that's not what is happening. But I get that that's, you know, something that they're looking for. But one of the questions on it, the paperwork, was who attended, well, if we had a wedding ceremony, which we did, and if we did, who attended. And we got married here in the States. So, but it asks you, did your parents attend? Did your siblings attend? Did your children attend? Well, my children attended, my siblings attended, my parents did not attend because they are deceased. So they were not alive to attend the ceremony. My grandmother was there, but they didn't ask about grandparents. And because my husband is from Canada and we got married here, his children and his parents were not able to attend in person. We did have a stream set up so that they could attend virtually. And this was 9 years ago, folks, before, you know, Zoom was a thing. But he wanted them to be able to watch, and so we had set it up so that they could do that. It doesn't ask you that. It just asks if they attended. And if you answer no, it does ask you why, and you have to provide an explanation. But then because they didn't attend, then they want pictures. They want not only pictures of the wedding, they want pictures, you know, through the years. And, you know, I'm not going to have any problem providing any of this information. It just seems odd. So I have to go back and hunt through the last 10 years of our lives and pick out random photos here, there, and everywhere to show that he's met my family, that, you know, we've been together. I have to do things like provide bills that have both of our names on them to show that, you know, we're putting ourselves out there as man and wife. And again, I get where they're coming from, but it just seems crazy to me in a lot of ways. Okay, so I'm going to work on why. That seems like the next most logical place to go. Okay, oh, and there's another round one that's made it in there. So So that's going to go in the trash. That one has a little tab on the side. Okay. These dark drills tend to be the worst for like tabs and things. So I try to line them all up so I can see if there's kind of any space in between them, then I know to look and see if they have any tabs on them. Those look pretty good. So I'm just going to start grabbing. And they look like and feel like they're fitting in there really nicely, like I said. I'm not having to kind of shove and try and force them in there like I was doing with and have done with drills on other kits. So that's good. That means they seem like they're a nice quality. So anyway, so I have lots of paperwork that we have to fill out. And then I have paperwork that I have to go gather because my oldest is not planning on going with us. So, I mean, she probably would like to, but because of her age, she basically has to apply on her own. My youngest is still young enough that we can apply and basically take him with us as a dependent. So she may follow at a later date. But anyway, even though she's not going with us, I still have to provide a bunch of information on her, which seems kind of silly to me because she's not going with us. But I suppose that's probably a lot of people's intentions. You know, you're going to move there and then at some later date, you're going to ask to, you know, can the rest of your family follow? So maybe they're just trying to save themselves some headache down the road. The most difficult thing so far is that I have to provide some sort of police certificate, basically to prove that I'm not a criminal, which seems kind of funny to me because, you know, I'm not. So how do you prove a negative, right? So I have to get some sort of documentation, and I've got to do some more research because I'm not really sure how I'm supposed to do this. I think I have to get it from the FBI, which just saying that I have to contact the FBI for something is scary. Well, I don't want to do that. But I think I just have to fill out a form. But I think there was a way that you could do it, like go to the post office and do it through the post office, but you have to go to obviously a very large post office. And so the closest ones to me are Oklahoma City and Texas. And I think it was Dallas or Houston, I can't remember. But I'm not, that's 3 to 6 hour drives one way. And so obviously not everyone is going to have access to that. So there are ways to do it via kind of paper. But I know here, because I live rurally, you'd think living rurally, you'd have a little bit more options. People would be a little bit more, I don't know, you know, county services would be a little bit more helpful. But like, oh, here a couple years ago, well, let me back up even further than that. In order to be a teacher in my state, you have to have a background check, which means you have to be fingerprinted. So I had to go. And at the time, this was 2003, 2004, somewhere in there. I just went to my local police station and one of the police officers fingerprinted me with the little kit that the Department of Education provided. And then I just had to send it in along with my fee, of course. My daughter works in education and she had to be fingerprinted to get her job. And when she went to the local police station, they don't do that anymore. Now, when I did it, I paid a fee both to the state and also to the local police department. So, I mean, they got money out of it. It wasn't like they were doing it for free, but they won't do it anymore. And then here, oh, just a couple of years ago, the state changed the rules so that even people who work at preschools, daycare, childcare facilities have to all be fingerprinted. It used to be that they just did a background check. You didn't have to be fingerprinted. Now they're requiring fingerprints. And so basically, anybody who was a childcare worker in the state had to get fingerprinted. And so the state had provided some funding for some of the police stations and things. And so we were able to go to the local police station where the facility that I work at is located, and they fingerprinted all the employees. But even though they were receiving some money for it, they weren't happy about it. And of course, I get that they're busy, but I mean, we went to the police station. It's not like we called, a police officer to come to us and do it. We went to the police station, we waited. They do have people who are there working reception. And so, and I mean, we live in a small town. These people we weren't calling them away from something else. If we had, I would have understood, but we weren't. So it just seems kind of crazy to me. So now, my daughter ended up having to go to the county courthouse because that's where the county jail is located. And basically, the people at the jail had to do it for her. We also paid a fee for that. So I don't know if I'm going to I don't even know if I can go to the county jail to have it done. I don't know if I just have to send something, but, and of course it's the government, so I want to get it done and sent off because it's going to take forever to get it back. So my goal is to have all of the paperwork put together and completed before my son's birthday, but I don't know if I'm going to make that. I'm going to try. I've got almost all of the paperwork already filled out for the first go round, and I printed everything off so that I can kind of fill it out and see what I need to do and make sure that we've, got all of our T's crossed and our I's dotted before we go back, because I don't know if the entire application has to be this way, but at least some of the pages of the application, basically we have to go online and fill them out online, and then their system gives you a little validation barcode that you have to print out. And if you don't do it right, you don't get the barcode. If you don't have the barcode, they won't process your application. So it's just a lot of jumping through hoops, which, I try to explain to my kids, that's a lot of life, is just jumping through hoops. When you're a kid, you think, oh, I can't wait to be a grown up so I can just do whatever I want. And then you become a grown up and you're like, man, I wish I was a kid again so I could just do whatever I want, because kids have way more freedom to do things than adults. And we don't realize that when we're young. So, that's what I tell my kids. Like, my son will complain about, well, I've got to do this for school and I don't want to do that. I'm like, well, you don't get a choice. If you want to graduate, then you're going to do this because that's what they tell you have to do. You can not do it, but then you won't graduate. So, I mean, your choice, but okay, I think I'm going to do some M's before I start doing all of the T's, since that's a bunch of multi-placing. So where's M? I'm going to try and build my way up this way. I gotta say though, I'm pretty impressed so far with these drills. They seem really nice. They're laying nice and flat. They're fitting well together. I don't feel like I'm having any popping issues. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with this so far. Okay. Again, as I'm building this, I want to be super careful about how I'm building it and how I'm placing them so that everything fits together nice and neat, even though I'm not really like multi-placing or checkerboarding to make sure everything stays in a row. I don't really do a lot of checkerboarding. Every once in a while, I will get a wild hair and decide that I'm going to checkerboard while I multi-place, but I don't. I do it sometimes because I think it'll help me keep my drills straighter. It doesn't always work that way. And that could just be because sometimes I get too impatient. Could be my hand tremor sometimes. Could just be I'm not paying attention sometimes. I saw today somebody asked a question about whether or not you do other things when you diamond paint or if you just diamond paint. For me personally, I'm usually multitasking, and that can be a variety of things. Sometimes I'm multitasking like this, where yes, I'm really just concentrating on diamond painting, but I'm also talking to you guys. So my mind is not wholly on the diamond painting. So I can and do make mistakes because of that. If I'm just diamond painting when I'm not filming, I watch a lot of YouTube shows, and so I will turn those on. I watch a lot of role-playing games, um, people playing games online, so I will watch that on YouTube. I have, well, there's a renovation channel that I watch a lot, um, by that I mean a YouTube channel. Um, my husband watches a lot of cooking channels. He watches a lot of tech stuff, so a lot of times if he's in the room and I'm diamond painting out at my drafting table because that's in our living room. It's in our living room because I didn't want to be stuck in here in my, we have a spare bedroom that we use as an office slash crafting slash filming area. And if I'm filming, I'm generally in here with the door closed. But even if I'm not filming, I just feel like I'm kind of isolated from everyone else because I'm in a separate room. So I like to diamond paint out there. And, he'll be watching whatever he's watching on YouTube. So I get to hear a lot of, he watches a lot of Apple, Mac technology things, iPhones, Apple computers, pretty much anything Apple. If it's about Apple, any new gadget Apple has coming out, he's watching it. So he watches a lot of that stuff. He watches a lot of car channels, so I get to listen to a lot of that. But if it's me and I'm listening to either my role-playing game channels on YouTube, or I will put on sometimes a podcast. I listen to a lot of like true crime slash forensic files slash cold case podcasts, so I will listen to those sometimes. Or I will put on diamond painting YouTubers. Sometimes I will put people's videos on while I'm diamond painting just to kind of give me something to listen to. Kills two birds with one stone for me. I get diamond painting in. I get to, I guess, three birds. I get to listen to other people's channels, which I don't always have a lot of time for. And I get to kind of catch up with what other people are doing in the diamond painting community. I am on Instagram, so if you haven't checked me out there, please go follow me at Diamond Painting Anonymous on Instagram. I do post pictures there. I try to post almost every day, at least once a day, if not multiple times a day. I'm also on Facebook. I have a page called Diamond Painting Anonymous if you want to go check that out. I'm not real active on the Facebook page. I'm trying to change that. That's one of my goals going forward, that I will be a little bit more active on Facebook because there seems to be quite a few of you on Facebook. I just am not a big Facebook person. So, okay, I think I'm going to pick D next. So where's D? It's right here. And I just realized there's no 310 in this kit, you guys. Oh, that's probably one of the reasons I like it. No, I give 310 a hard time. It's just, I've done a couple of canvases where I had a lot of 310 and it just, I think it's hard on my eyes after a while because trying to, the darker drills are notorious for being kind of worse with trash because of the way that they're manufactured. It's harder to do quality assurance on them. And so you just end up with a larger proportion of kind of crappy drills. So, and plus it just gets kind of boring that you're constantly just working with black. So I really want to start working on one of my TSA canvases, and I've been putting it off because of that issue, because there's just so much black in it that I'm like, maybe I'll work on something else first. So What are you guys working on? Are you multitasking while you diamond paint, or do you just diamond paint? I'm just a multitasker usually, I think. I'm always trying to get more than one thing done at a time just so I can maximize my effort. I missed an M right there, darn it. Oh well, I'll get it on the next go round. I try to, when I'm doing this, I try to get all of the color, obviously, that I'm doing. But what I learned with Diana was, I would be like, at first, oh, I missed an M. I would go pull it out, put that one in, and then I would go back to the color that I was doing and go on my way. But what I found I was doing was I was pulling out colors all the time because I would miss them, especially when you have a very confetti heavy canvas. You're just going to miss them. Even if you're using a light pad. I have a light pad. I have two light pads. I don't use either of them very often, but sometimes they are helpful. But you're still going to miss things. And so what I have started doing is I don't go back immediately if I see one that I missed, especially if I'm doing a canvas like this in sections, because I just figure when I get done with where I'm going, then I can go back and pull that one out if I really, really need to. This one is right here on the edge, so I could just wait until I pull this next cover sheet off and catch it then. It's not the end of the world that I missed it. And I would rather... Oh, that scared me. My phone beeped. Sorry, guys. I would rather, minimize the amount of time that I'm going back and pulling out colors. So I'll just wait, because odds are, and this happened all the time with Diana, that I would pull it out, fill that one, and then I'd continue diamond painting, and 5 minutes later I'd find another one of that same color that I had missed. So I just got to the point where I'm like, okay, I missed it, gonna move on with all the other colors I haven't touched yet, and then when I get to the end of that, then I will go back and fill in any that I missed. So let's see. It looks like I only have a couple of J's in here, so I'm going to do those as soon as I figure out where the J's are, because these are not in any kind of order. Oh, J is this color, and there's two of them. They're in DMC order, not alphabetical order, so that was confusing. Okay, so I just have a couple of these that I can see anyway. And again, when you just have a couple like this is one of those situations where I might miss them. And if I do, that's okay. I will just go back in later. Oh, and see, there's one right there that I just realized I didn't get. Okay, I think that's all the J's. Now I'm going to go back in with O, I think. Is that this one? Yep. That one's a little bit full, so try not to dump that everywhere. Okay. So these are kind of hit and miss, except for I've got a big long row there. Oh, this whole section is O's. I'm paying a lot of attention, can you tell? This is what I get for doing this kind of... This ended up being a weird section because of how I placed my release papers, but that's okay. I like my release papers. I've tried doing the washi tape cover sheet method, and it just did not work for me. I'm going to try it again. I feel like maybe I didn't give it enough of a chance. So I'm going to try it again, but I'm going to try it on some of my smaller canvases so that if I accidentally mess up and cut through the canvas, it won't be something that I really, really liked, or something that's really big and is going to make me cry. Like, I'm not going to attempt it for the first or second time on a Diamond Art Club canvas or one of my Dreamer designs or one of my more expensive ones. I will try it on something a bit smaller first and see how I do. And then if I feel like at that point, maybe this will be something that'll work for me, then I'll try it on one of those bigger canvases. But I guess I can go ahead and dump some more of these out because I have these huge sections to do, so I might as well just get them out and get busy, right? So let's see. I'm not going to have tons of time to work on these, but get as much done as I can while I'm chit-chatting with you guys. So I'm actually filming this a little bit ahead of time this week. The last couple of weeks, I have been filming my WIP and chats for Sunday on Saturday, which is not a huge deal. It's just invariably when I do that, that ends up being the week that YouTube hates me and it takes forever for things to upload. And so I'm like up at midnight Saturday night trying to make sure the video is going to go out on Sunday. And I like to sleep, you guys, so I would like to not do that this Saturday. I would like to sleep in and do some other things besides be fussing at YouTube at midnight. So, I mean, you know, if that's your dream, you do you. It's so funny to me because sometimes YouTube uploads stuff really fast, and sometimes I feel like I get the little broken server that's running at, you know, dial-up speed and it takes forever. Like I was uploading a video the other day, and when I first started, it told me it was going to be like, I don't know, 58 minutes or something. Okay, so I found something else to do, made myself busy, came back like half an hour later, and it's telling me that it now has an hour and 50 minutes to go, but it's 58% uploaded. And I'm like, how can it be 58% uploaded and it's going to take that long? That's ridiculous. So when it does that to me, what I do is I cancel my upload, which irks me because that means I've wasted data and I have a data cap, so that's annoying. But because what generally happens is I will cancel it and I will tell it to upload again. And it will tell me, okay, this is going to take 58 minutes. And then I will go do something else and I will come back 20 minutes later to check on it. And it's 50% uploaded and it's, you know, I've only got 20 minutes left or whatever. And so it's like, I don't understand why sometimes it seems to take forever and then other times it works fine. So, because I mean, I'm using all the same equipment. Nothing on my end really changes. So, and I mean, I know I'm not at my data cap, so I'm not getting throttled or anything. Our data provider doesn't throttle you. Our internet provider doesn't throttle you. They just charge you more money for going over. So that's the bad part is you don't always know that you've gone over until I get a notification that's like, oh, hey, you went over, so we added some data to your bill. And by the way, we also charged you, so your bill's going to be more, which I would rather they do that than just, you know, things suddenly didn't work because if you have children who use the internet, oh my Lord, nothing is worse than when the internet goes down or the power goes out because then they can't use the internet and it's the end of the world. My children would never have survived my childhood. They don't know what to do with themselves if there's no electricity. I'm like, read a book, you know? Well, everything for them is on their phone. I read books on my iPad. So, of course, once things are downloaded to my iPad, then they're on my iPad. I don't need internet to read them. But, I mean, read a book. Some days you'd think I told them to go shoot their favorite puppy if I want. What? Read a book? Mom, that's so boring. I don't want to read. So, that's how I spent most of my son's high school education, trying to get him to read a book. And then, of course, after he graduates, he tells me, Mom, I don't really read any of the books. They just Google everything to get the answers. Which, you know, I've tried to explain, you're just hurting yourself because then you're not really learning what you need to learn if you're not reading the book. But what do I know? I'm just an English teacher, right? Pfft, I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to reading and education. I'm just mom. Although he did tell me the other day that he thought it would have been cool if I'd have been his teacher. And I was like, you would have hated me being your teacher. Why? I said, because I would have been harder on you than everyone else, just so that it didn't, everyone didn't think that I was treating you as a favorite because you were my kid. That's something I hate about the education system, by the way. It can't be helped a lot of times when you're talking about small school districts, but in my personal opinion, if you are a teacher or an administrator, you should not be allowed to be a teacher or an administrator in a building that your child attends because it is a conflict of interest. It's a conflict of interest for you if you're an administrator. It's a conflict of interest for you as a teacher giving out grades. And that's not to say that, teachers would automatically give their students special treatment. But sometimes they do because I've seen it happen. And, what is a teacher going to do when they want to discipline the principal's kid, or the principal's kid needs to get sent to the principal's office? What's really going to happen to that kid? Odds are probably nothing. And I have seen that happen. So, or, they want you to do something you shouldn't. This didn't involve an administrator's child, but I was teaching some dual credit courses, basically where high school students also get college credit. So technically, I was employed by both the school district and the college that I was teaching the dual credit classes for. But, the college had very strict rules, and the agreement was that the college rules took precedence because the kids are getting college credit. So whatever the college says goes. And I had a student turn in a paper late, and the college's policy is they don't take late work. If it's not in, it's a 0. And of course, it was going to significantly impact the student's grades, and they were upset, and I understand that. However, the point was made to them at the beginning of it. This is a college class. This is not a high school class. I'm not going to hold your hand. I'm not going to chase you down for late paperwork. They were all informed of the policies. Oh, and that's my timer. They were all informed of the policies before the class started, and they turned it in late. So, there have to be consequences, in my opinion. And the administrator coming to me and asking me to just cut them some slack. And I ended up going to the college over it and the college said, nope, that's the policy. Now, the student ended up taking it as the kick in the rear that it should have been and never turned in another late paper. Everything was always in or early. And they got a decent grade in the class. So, I firmly believe that sometimes there just needs to be consequences. And I think sometimes parents and others spend too much time trying to help people avoid them. People need consequences. It's how you learn, right? The mistakes you remember are the ones that cost you the most. Okay, so I didn't get all of that filled in, but I have talked for long enough. My throat is dry. I need to go grab a drink. And yeah, so I think I'm going to call it there, guys. Hopefully you could see everything that I was doing. Maybe up there at the top you kind of got some, but so anyway, I made a good start on my canvas. I'm happy with that. I'm really happy with how the drills are going. Like I said, I don't feel like I have any popping or anything. They're going in really nicely, keeping them as straight as I ever do. So yeah, thanks so much for joining me, guys. I'm going to zoom back out here a little bit just so I don't feel like I'm right in your guys' face. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this WIP and chat. I hope you made some progress on your work, whatever you happen to be working on, or if you were just listening along, I hope this was entertaining and enjoyable for you. If it was, on your way out, don't forget to do all the things. These all help me a huge bunch, so thank you in advance. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. That helps me out a lot. And hit that bell notification icon so that you can be informed of future uploads. And as always, guys, thanks so much for watching.